Okay, so we started the hour with 1 over 1 minus sine, and that was subtracting 1 over 1 plus sine. And we knew right away that this didn't have a common denominator. So I went and put parentheses here and here, and there started with parentheses there, implied parentheses. And I put parentheses here and here, and we multiplied by the other denominator. So here it was 1 plus sine, and here it was 1 plus sine because they have to be the same. And over here it was 1 minus sine because that's the other denominator. Then across the top, 1 times anything is super simple. It's just that. 1 plus sine theta. Over here it's also simple, except there is a minus in the front, which means it's minus 1, see right there, that distributes to both parts. So that'd be minus 1 plus, because there's 2 negatives, sine theta. All right, double checking that, making sure my negative is correct there. I multiplied by 1 minus sine negative 1 and positive. So, yep, that's all good. Okay. So, on the bottom, I have this, which you could leave factored, but nothing is going to cancel. So, I'm going to multiply it all the way out. If you didn't know that, this is a special kind. It's called a conjugate, where there's 1 plus sign and there's 1 minus sign. When you multiply that out, you get 1 squared, which is 1. This is me multiplying it out. This times this, and then this times that, this times this, and this times that. And the outside and the inside ones, the negative sign and the plus sign, they cancel. So I am left with minus sine squared. And you're supposed to know that 1 minus sine squared is related to this fact off of the sheet that sine squared, oh, and I forgot the theta. Sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. You're supposed to know that then if I subtract sine squared from both sides, I can get cosine alone. Look, do you see that 1 minus sine squared somewhere? It's right there. So then the denominator is just cosine squared. How many of you caught that part? All right, that's less of you than I would have hoped. And then on the top, I have this 1 and this minus 1, and those cancel each other out. And what's sine plus another sine? 2. And it's just plus. If it had been times, then it'd be sine squared. But it's just plus, so it's 2 sine theta. And then can I leave it like that? Nope. This has a sister function. What is the sister function of cosine? Secant. So this can be replaced with 1 over secant. And then that makes it flip and go up to the top. So the final answer is up on top, I have 2 sine theta. And this one's going to come join it up on top. Secant squared. There is your final answer. Yes?
Since it's sine over cosine, would you also be able to use tangent?
Sine over cosine is tangent. You are correct. So there's another way I could have done this. I like it. I'm glad you noticed that. Do you agree that buried inside this cosine squared is cosine times another cosine? Yup. So then, couldn't I say sine over one of the cosines is tangent? Yup, I could have done that. But then I'd still have one of the cosines left on the bottom. Let me explain that a little further. That's 2 sine theta. And this kid is saying, there's a cosine theta down there. There's just 2 of them. That's what squared means. Okay, I'll fix that. So come on. It happens like once a month. Lucky you guys. So somebody is just asking if there could be a tangent in the answer, and there is a way that there could be a tangent in the answer, and as soon as the board comes back, I'll be able to show that to you. Sorry for the dead air, those of you watching the video, but unable to connect. Just come on, connect. I suppose it's humanly possible that this Apple, that the Wi-Fi that the Apple AirPlay is on just went down and isn't going to let me back up. It's possible. I'm going to try one more time. If I go down for YouTube. Okay. I think we're obviously having intermittent Wi-Fi issues. I'm going to write this on the board. I'm almost done with what I wanted to do today before you start working in groups. So here's, for those in class, and it's a dead marker, 2 sine theta over cosine theta. There we go. And now, do you get that this sine over cosine could be a tangent? So then this is 2 tangent, but the cosine that is left is still on the bottom. Can I leave it with a function on the bottom? No. Cosine is the same as secant. No, it's not. It's the sister function of secant. So this is like 1 over secant. And so that means my final answer can be 2 tangent secant. And I'm struggling with writing it on the board and doing it here at the same time. This is 1 over secant. And then that becomes 2 tangent secant. All right. Okay, so since last hour I had 5 people that got it, this hour and apparently I had, I don't know, did anybody get that one before I had it? Okay, well, 1 person, yay. So we're going to try another one like it. 1 over 1, let me think, 1 with the 10 minus 1, minus cosine minus 1 over 1 plus cosine. Same as last time, I'm going to give you the strong hint that you should get a common denominator by multiplying by the other denominator. This is algebra. You are in precalc. You can do this. Don't forget that this -1 here has to get distributed to both parts of that parentheses. Now, if you struggle through this and you get it, then you'll have that feeling, oh, I can do that. If you slack right now, you're probably going to get this wrong on the test when it comes out. And if it's a bad enough test, you'll have to retake it. That's 2 hours of your life. We're trying to avoid that by working hard for this hour. See if we can avoid any retakes. Okay, so after you multiply it right here, that part should have been 1 plus cosine. And then, when you multiply this negative in with that, that should be minus 1 plus cosine. Then, I hope you see that there's a plus 1 and a minus 1, and those do cancel each other out. And then, what about cosine and cosine? Does that make cosine squared? No, they're adding. So then that's 2 cosine on the top. Raise your hand if you had that so far. Okay, good. Now on the bottom, this is you know how to multiply that out. First outside, inside, last. And the first would be 1 times 1 is 1. And the outside and the inside are cosine and negative cosine. So they cancel. And then the last is the cosine times the cosine, which makes cosine squared. 1 minus cosine squared. Does that one sound familiar? Yes, you can replace it with what? Sine squared. So now we have got cosine and cosine makes 2 cosine. And 1 minus cosine was sine squared. Now, some people are going to do this where they go, oh, I see a sine and a cosine right here. And that's okay. We can do that. Where this cosine could be thought of, this sine could be thought of as sine theta times sine theta. And this is what it would look like for those kids. If you did it this way, I like it. And you probably said that that was cotangent. And then you'd have 2 cotangent theta over sine. And then the sine can be thought of as 1 over cosecant. And then that means it can go up to the top. Final answer, 2 cotangent cosecant. Did anybody do it that way? All right, we got one group that did it that way. Now, there's another way. What if you got to here, and you didn't think about breaking the sine up into 2 sines? You just thought, I'm going to get rid of the sine squared, and I'm going to put it up to the top, and it's going to be 1 over cosecant. That way works too. 2 cosine on the top, and on the bottom, again, we're replacing this with 1 over cosecant. And then that means it goes up to the top, this flips over and multiplies, so the cosecant is on the top. Those are the 2 answers. Did anybody have it that way? Ooh, lots of people. That's good. Now together, that was way more than half of the room had that. Fundamentally, this is what's happening. It's just got trig involved. What if I had 1 over 1 plus a minus 1 over 1 minus a? Just do that one. Now that you've done this a couple times, this should be like, oh, that's not that hard. No trig. The only thing that would be different is that there would be a trig function in there, like tangent of a or something like that. Almost never do I spend 3 problems in a row on the same kind of a problem. I hope you can see I'm making you practice this because A, nobody was really good at it, and B, must be that this is important. So don't just like go, oh, I don't get common denominators. You gotta get common denominators. Or what'll happen if you bomb this test, then you'll have to come in and do corrections, and I'll try to teach you one-on-one. And you'll have to restudy for it. Then you'll have to spend another hour taking the test. Because nobody in here is likely to leave a D in the grade book. It's going to hurt your grade too much. So learn it now. Take the time. Ask the kid next to you if you get stuck. I know you're not done yet, but you're at a partway point. Would you please check progress? See if you're doing the same thing with the partner next to you.
Oh, yeah, this far because there's no like sister function of the switch. Yeah, well, my sister. Yeah, maybe 2A.
Okay. Lux, can you tell me what I should multiply on the left side and on the right side?
On the left side by 1 minus a over 1 minus a, and on the right side 1 plus a over 1 plus a.
1 plus A. On the tops here, that stays the same, obviously. Can you please distribute out the other part here and tell me the grand total is on the top is?
-1 minus a.
That's the final, you're right, but I mean, along the way, I have 1 minus A, and then I have, what for this part?
-1
-1, and then what's the A? Is the A positive or negative?
Well, it's -1 times parenthesis.
I agree.
So,
So then that -1 times that 1.
and then it's, or you can also write that as negative a minus 1.
All right. Correct final answer. I'm going to put this negative on that A, and this will be negative A. Now, the A and the other A are going to become two of them, and they're both negative, aren't they? So that cancels that, and the A's become negative 2A. Who had negative 2A on the top? Okay. Now on the bottom, I have, if I multiply it all the way out, I have 1 times 1 is 1, minus A and plus A cancel, and then at the end I have minus A squared. 1 minus A squared. Now in this case, we don't have to worry about things like, oh, and you can replace that with tangent. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can swap out for that, so that is it. There's your answer. That had a common denominator. Okay. How many of you had that for your answer? Okay, good. All right, so this is the part where this worksheet that I gave you yesterday, it should be about halfway done. And now I want you to start doing 5, which we didn't do yesterday. We did 1, 2, 3, 4. Do 5 with your partner and think common denominators. Get a common denominator on number 5. On number 6, I want you to write a little note to yourself. Swap tangent squared and factor. That's what you should do on number 6. You're going to swap out the tangent squared for something else, and then you're going to factor it. So on number 1, you need to get common denominators. On number 2, it's all about the factoring. Sorry, that's 5 and 6. Okay, and then the really hard ones are on the back side. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So do 5 and 6 with your partner. I think 7 and 8 are pretty easy. You could do them at home. So I'd do 5 and 6 with your partner, and then I would switch to doing the back side, 13, 14, 15. And if you can finish this with your partner, fantastic. The only thing after that, after you have finished this whole page, which some of you do in class, then your only other homework is, do you remember on Monday I assigned half of the worksheet? Now I'm just saying finish that other worksheet that I gave you. It's not a paper worksheet, it was a PDF. The one I gave you Monday that I only supposed to do part of, now you should finish Mondays. And that's it. That's your homework for the weekend. And I think you guys know that if you get lucky, then we have a stay-at-home day. I will strongly encourage you to go and do the video. Hi there.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm good. But I'm going to need to stop this video. So that's all I got for you guys for today.